Hello everybody and welcome to The Last Federation. So this is a game that I've been playing for a bit now, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Don't be turned off by the kind of weird graphics here at the main menu. It's not a super graphically pleasing game, it's a strategy game. You can't expect much from it, so... but I mean it does look good, like in combat and stuff. Anyway, I'm just gonna, like, start up a game here, because I've been wanting to record this for a while. I'm gonna play on normal. I've been playing on easy, because this game is hard, but for the sake of this Let's Play, I'm gonna play on normal. So, we'll see how it goes. Also, I'm gonna have all the tutorials and stuff on, because they explain the story as well. Okay. Also, the comedy in this is silly. Like, I mean... even this is just kind of like sarcastic a lot and stuff like that, so you can't take it too seriously, you know. And obviously, like, this is your race, you know, you're a hydralisk and you're called a hydral. Anyway, I'm gonna just read out the intro story bits here. Okay, so I am the last of the murdered race of hydrals. My countrymen were the dictators of the solar system, so we kind of had it coming. Like I said, comedy. I was the sole survivor thanks to a renegade mission I undertook, betraying my race to bring spacefaring technology to our potential rivals. My ultimate goal? The creation of a peaceful, unified federation of planets. Only then can we be safe from the kinds of atrocities my race committed, and the kinds that were committed against us. Naturally, upon my crash landing at this planet, I was placed in captivity. Having no concept of my strength, they did not realize that I was merely waiting. I waited for years. My dream of a universal federation is as alive as ever, and now the Acutians have finally gotten themselves into orbit. After spending so much time with me as a peaceful captive, they were ill-prepared for my escape. I have commandeered the first prototype executor, and now the Acutians are in hot pursuit. The Acutians are still in the process of ramping up their space industry, so that gives me a short window of opportunity, but soon their mechanical CEOs will be looking to make planetary acquisitions. These dangerous, amoral robots destroyed the last remnants of my race after the Evox almost wiped us out. Having them as my enemy was a given, I think. Here they come. I outclassed this force so severely that it will be almost impossible to lose, so now is a good time to put my ship through its paces, but I will still have to be careful. If they manage to take out my ship, I will be just as dead now as later. Okay, so this is just a bunch of tutorial stuff, and I know the basics, so I'm going to skip over that. Basically, my choice here is I can either destroy these ships, which are, you know, the Acutian ships, or I can dock with this survey platform and give them technology and hope that they'll, like, you know, not be so angry at me. And because the Acutians are a very powerful ally, I'm gonna hold fire by clicking here, and I'm actually gonna go dock instead of fighting these guys. And like the intro bit said, you totally outclass these guys, so even when you're not fighting back, they're like hardly doing damage to you. So it's gonna take me like 2 or 3 more turns to dock here and turn up the combat speed. As you can see, this is like a bullet hell kind of game. I think I'd be able to get it. Oh my. Uh-oh. I think I'm actually gonna have to fight back. Run. Oh god, am I gonna lose the first mission? Guys, I might lose the first mission. Come on, Shields, you can do it. Alright, I mean, these guys, I was gonna give them technology and try to appease them, but now I have to fight back. They brought it upon themselves. I take no responsibility for what's happening here. Alright, at least my shields are nice and charged, so... Oh well, I wanted to have the Acutians as an ally because they can do lots of cool stuff, but I'm just gonna have to not do that, unfortunately. Alright, let's kill this guy. And then kill this guy. I don't know which weapons I have on the ship. Let's see. Okay, so I have the minigun, which is like the basic gun, good for mopping up lots of small targets and taking down shields. Okay, energy weapon that does 4x damage to shields, very little damage to hulls. Many large structures and turrets, takes 3 times normal damage from energy attacks. Okay, so good against shielded enemies and structures. And then this is destroy ships and debris within its path. Not too effective against most mid-sized ships. Only 25% effective against shields. So this is good for taking out all the weenies, like the little fighters. This takes down shields, and this takes down their hull. So, good to know. Alright. Well, we won the mission, and they like us slightly less. So, this game is basically politics. It's all politics. Basically, your ultimate goal in this game is to form a unified federation, as it said in the backstory, and you have to do that by, becoming friends with all these different races. So we've got the Evox, the Burlusts, the Andors, the Peltians, the Skylaxians, the Thoraxians, the Boreans, and the Acutians. Those are all the races in the solar system, and they all have their own kind of like playbook, basically. They have their own methods for doing everything, and they all have their own opinions on every action that's taken. So, I don't know, for example, the Skylaxians, I mean, you can read all these descriptions. They're honorable, they're a very good ally, but they don't approve of many of your actions, and oftentimes in this game you will have to take kind of subversive actions, like, poisoning the atmosphere of a planet or something like that. So the Skylaxians will not take kindly to that kind of behavior because they're, a very nice race. And like the Andors, for example, they are characterized by the fact that they're like utopian society. They're a utopian society, so they're not very aggressive. Like, they'll defend themselves. They will fight another race if another race declares war on them, but they won't take any other planets. Like, they're perfectly content on their own planet because they're like utopian and super happy. So they are not like aggressive expansionists. And like the Peltians, these guys, they're like terrible at war. They're awful combatants. Like, so they're like meat essentially for the stronger races, and those stronger races tend to be the Burlusts, the Thoraxians, and the Boreans. So the Burlusts are just like overall kind of like warlike people. They're not like particularly strong in any one like position, like ground combat or like bombardments or space combat. They're just like good all around. The Thoraxians are not particularly good in space combat, but like on ground combat they are ferocious. They will tear you apart. They're like really, really mean like on the ground. And then the Boreans, I'm not really sure what they're characterized by, but they are very good at war from my past experiences. And I don't know if they like to expand much. Yeah, they're not very expansionist. The Evox, the Burlusts, and the Acutians expand a lot, though. They like to take over other planets. And since every single planet in this solar system is, like, colonized by another race, any planet that is taken over by one race is exterminating another race. Like, for example, if the Burlusts were to capture the Evox homeworld, the Evox would be gone. They don't exist anymore. So, it's inevitable that a race is going to be killed off. Oftentimes, that starts out with the Peltians because they suck. They're basically the worst. They're not a good ally. They're not even hard to deal with if they don't like you, and they just get massacred by any other race. So they usually are the first to go. And somehow they always manage to get themselves in terrible diplomatic situations where everyone hates them. So they're a very pathetic race on all accounts, unfortunately. I remember because I tried to ally them in my first playthrough of this game, and that did not work out. They were like, yeah, man, you're awesome. They were super friends with me, and then they got, like, vaporized by the Burlusts in one invasion, so I never made that mistake again. So the first thing we're going to have to do here is decide who we want to like start with, who we want our like starting ally to be. And we can pick really anyone. Some will be harder than others. Like, for example, allying with the Thoraxians is going to be a huge pain in the ass because they're not very nice people. Obviously, allying with the Acutians is going to be awful because we start out with a negative 100 influence rating with them because we stole their flagship, and that's how we started the game. And that's randomized every time. You steal a flagship from a random race at the beginning of every game. So, I mean, that's just unlucky, but it's going to happen. You know, you're going to have a bad influence modifier with one race or another at the beginning of the game. And there's a whole bunch of numbers here that, you know, I'm not going to explain immediately. What we really have to pay attention to right now is these, the spacefaring timer. So in an hour or 15 minutes, you know, all the respective timers, that's when that race will become spacefaring, because they're not spacefaring yet. Only the Acutians are actually like spaceflight worthy at the moment. So we just need to keep an eye on this, and we can prematurely bring a race into space by delivering them spacefaring technology, because we have that as the Hydral, so we can, you know, bring them to space sooner, and that'll give us a bonus to our relationship, which is usually what you're gonna want to do to whoever you like choose as your like first person to like be allied with. So I like allying with the Skylaxians. I don't know, just because I'm idealistic. They're not great, but they're not bad either. They're an easy ally, and I don't tend to take a lot of subversive actions, so they don't really get too mad at me. Now, usually my like internal struggle with choosing who I want to ally with first is between the Andors and the Skylaxians. Everyone else is either not worth it or a pain in the ass. Like the Evox and the Peltians, I don't like being allies with them, but the Burlus and the Thoraxians and the Boreans are all just super hard to be friends with. And obviously in this case the Acutians is just not going to happen. The Acutians also are in the pool of like the guys I would like to start with, but because I have such a bad influence with them, I don't want to even attempt it. I think you get plus 50 influence for delivering spacefaring technology prematurely, so I'm thinking I'm going to ally with the Skylaxians. So we're going to fly over here in our flagship, and I'm going to go into diplomacy with them. It gives us a little description here of them. Feeling friendly, that's the spirit. If you're going to form a solar federation, you're going to have to make some friends. Credit is a super important concept. Credit is basically your money. It's a universal currency. They describe it as being like your social currency. So it's just like your credit with the races, you know, literally like how much they, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. How much they care about you, basically. Like, if you have a lot of credit, they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy is like worth our time and can help us, you know, and he's a good ally or whatever. Sometimes there are no friendly actions you can take with a race. If a race already has really, really bad relations with you, there's like almost no way to repair it. Like, I had a negative 7,000 relation modifier with the Boreans in my last playthrough, and I wanted to get them into the Federation, but it was just not going to happen, so I had to obliterate them instead. Okay, you don't have anything to offer them? Yeah, simply hate you too much. Influence with the race is important. Yep, high influence makes them more likely to cooperate. Simple diplomacy stuff. So what we're going to do here is, because I chose the Skylaxians as my first race to ally with, I'm going to deliver spacefaring tech to them. And this is just like a little mini game, basically, to deliver the technology. This gets harder and harder as more races become spacefaring, because they don't want other races to get technology. So they'll like set up these drones to you know, protect the like drop-off point.
The Skylaxians are now spacefaring. They are an advanced species and disapprove of your race's past actions. However, they may just be the key to forming a federation, as their powers of persuasion over the other races are non-trivial.
Okay, so like she said, like that's our computer in our ship. The Skylaxians are a good starting point because they do have good influence with the other races. The other races, you know, care what they say. And so yeah, here, plus 50 influence modifier. This is basically the screen you're gonna see after like every interaction, and it just gives you a rundown of how long it took, what happened, what you did, and like who died, who lost what. Basically everything that happened in like text form. So, you know, we took 7 turns, took no damage, 24 hostile ships, you destroyed 0, it took 3 seconds of relative time, you gained 5,000 credit, they got 50 influence, and they became spacefaring. So that's your rundown of what happened. So now the Skylaxians and the Acutians are the 2 spacefaring races. And what I want to do is I'm gonna have the Andors be my second race that I'm allied with, but I'm gonna wait until they're just almost gonna become spacefaring by themselves, and then I'm gonna make them spacefaring. So not only do I get like more time just to deal with the Acutians and the Skylaxians alone, because the races that aren't spacefaring are not a huge impact, but also I will still get the you know, bonus credits and influence with the Andors. So that's how I'm going to play this. I'm going to wait until they have like a solar month left, and then I'm going to give them the tech so they will become friends with me, even though I'm not really speeding them up by that much. Alright, so I am going to, first of all, help the Skylaxians destroy a pirate base. This is a great way in the beginning to improve your relations with all the different races, because it gives you like +5 influence with all the races in the solar system, which is great. So we're going to use our energy blaster against these pirate enclosures, because basically the way you destroy a pirate base is you just destroy all the enclosures. So we want to fly around and just destroy all these things. And once we're done with that, even if there's still enemy ships and like enemy turrets floating around, we're done with the mission. Like, we fulfilled our duty here. So then we can just leave as such. More tutorial stuff. This is basically just telling me all these buttons and how they work and what to use them for. I'm just gonna skip through all of this. It's telling me about tech and diplomacy and useful information, but I already know it. And I mean, you know, if you want to learn about it, you're gonna own the game, so you'll have the tutorial. And it's a good tutorial, considering how complex the game is. And the nice thing is that the game actually blocks out a lot of features for you in the beginning, and it is right now for me as well, because I am also not very good at this game. It makes the game smaller and like easier to deal with in the beginning, because this game is very complex. And in the late game, it can be very difficult to make decisions. So, you know, it helps to not have all the features in all at once, like right in the beginning. You know, like you can see like missing buttons here and missing buttons all around here. That's all just stuff that the game has not put in yet. And I mean, now that we've done that first pirate base, I think I'm actually gonna leave this episode here, because I spent quite some time, you know, introducing the game, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I am enjoying the game, and I'm looking forward to playing more of this. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video.